Ladies and gentlemen, we have a spectacular show for you tonight.
This is your one shot. You win. You're in the big leagues.
I don't lose.
Let's hear it for Yuri Boyka!
Welcome to the Fanboy and the Snob. I'm Chad.
Chris.
And today we're going to talk about Undisputed 4, Boyka.
I think is the title.
Why are we talking about this movie?
Well, we were going to talk about another movie, but we decided not to. And then I was like, we should watch a modern kung fu movie. And then we realized that modern kung fu doesn't exist. And then I don't know, like randomly, I was just sitting and I was like, oh my god, Boyka! Like, I watched this movie a couple years ago and it was fucking awesome. We should watch Boyka if we're gonna watch fucking modern martial arts. And we watched it, and Chad had never seen it before.
I've seen some of the fight scenes before. This is one of those movies where, what's his name?
Scott Adkins.
Scott Adkins. I've watched like a lot of his fight scenes, but I've never actually watched the movie. So I was pretty excited to watch this because they showed some of the fight scenes on this channel.
It's Boyka. How do you explain it? It's cliche as fuck. Man murders woman's husband and therefore decides to fight for her honor. But the way they shoot these fight scenes is exactly what me and Chad have been complaining about all month, where you actually get to see the guy hit the person. It doesn't cut away to the person reacting, getting punched. You see the punch, you see the follow through, you see everything. And I mean, yeah, it had its modern bullshit with like the speed ups, slow downs, and all that stuff.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves of modern.
But that's how you show, because they
Impact.
can't do 5-Element Ninja where it's like they can't do that anymore because ADD.
Well, my biggest problem with Tony Jaa movies is they do the slow motion. They show the move like 3 times. Because did you see that shit? Let's show you 3 times
Like
in slow
Taken?
motion.
Where he's hopping a fence and they show it from you.
No, it's different. They show.
But I know what you're saying.
It's a far back shot where they show the move. They just repeat it 3 times.
Yeah.
And then take.
What other movie did that where it was just like, okay, like every kick was yeah, like that movie, whatever. It was Power Rangers-esque. Anyway, this movie's cool because it's what MMA should be, which is just like really cool kickboxing and like some takedowns.
Not this constant guy being like, I'm gonna tire you out on the ground.
I don't know. Some of the more recent MMA fights have just been like, dude runs in and just gets kicked once in the head and falls down, and then the fight's over, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Getting kicked in the head hurts a lot. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about Boyka, other than it's just brutal and fun. It's really fun.
Well, let's break down this B plot. So basically, the movie starts out with they show this big giant fucker who's in like a prison fight. He's all chained up, has like the mouthpiece.
He's got the Hannibal.
Yeah, the muzzle looking thing.
Yeah.
So he has that, and he gets wheeled out, and he just fucking owns this guy because he's a fucking tank, getting punched like.
He beats up not Conor McGregor.
And then the best move is when he flexes into the.
Yeah, the dude does like a standing front kick, and the muscular scary man just flexes and bounces him back against the ropes, and it's like, dang.
Yeah.
The monster or whatever they call him.
It goes to, what's his name?
Boyka.
Boyka.
Fighting in the Ukraine because I guess he escaped prison or something.
Yeah, you find out later on in the movie why he's.
There's been 4 movies. Or no, there's been like 6 movies. We jumped in on the 4th.
Well, I saw the first one's great. I do want to eventually talk about that, but I don't think any of them are related to each other.
Well, Boyka's a reoccurring character.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he got his own movie in the 4th one. However, I've never seen an Undisputed before until the 4th one, and I watched it one night randomly, just out of the blue. I was like, this looks interesting. I want to watch an MMA movie. I think I was trying to watch The Warrior.
The Warrior was bad.
But The Warrior wasn't free, and Boyka was.
Yeah.
So I watched Boyka instead and went, I think I made the better choice. Because that movie
this movie's
awesome.
If you want fighting, this movie's better. If you want story,
Boyka,
Probably the same.
Boyka's story is okay. So Boyka's story is very cut and dry. But after the prison fight, it cuts to Boyka in the Ukraine, Kiev specifically, fighting against some guy named Victor, and Victor just won't stay down.
It's like Victor's not a bad fighter; he's just way outclassed here.
And Victor has a lot of heart. Unfortunately, he doesn't know when to stay the fuck down. Because he got fucking heel kicked in the jaw and lost his fucking mouth guard. Stood up ready to fight, and then the ref was like, "You gotta put your mouth guard in." And he stumbled looking for his mouth guard and put it in. Which, if this was the United States, as soon as he stood up, the ref would have went, "No, no, 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 no," and ended the fight. But instead, the ref was like, "No, keep going." So then he gets kicked in the head again, right?
Yeah,
Like even harder.
and he goes down just to.
Yeah, and then Boyka hits him in the head like 3 times, and then Boyka gets up one more time, and he says, "Stay the fuck down." And then Victor, being Victor, is like, "I'm not gonna stay down." And again, last time he stands up, Boyka does like a fucking standing backflip kick,
It's so cool.
some crazy flip, and knocks him the fuck out. And then Victor's dead before he hits the ground. Boyka's kind of like celebrating, but at the same time, like did I kill him? Like kind of like that moment, and then he realizes he killed him, and he decides to go back to Russia from the Ukraine. And why can't he go back to Russia?
Because he escaped from prison.
Apparently, he escaped from prison in a previous movie. We didn't see it. Comment in the comments about how we need to know everything about something before we talk about it.
Fuck you.
Yeah. um, yeah, right. So he contacts his manager, and his manager hooks him up with an illegal passport into Russia. But he's like, by the way, the big fight is in 1 week. You need to be in Budapest in 1 week. And Boyka's like, whatever, dude. I'm just gonna go talk to this widow and make everything okay. And before he can talk to the widow, some fucking Russian mobsters grab her off the street and take her to a seedy casino in the heart of town. It's like well lit, and it's actually a pretty sick establishment, despite being run by the Russian mob. But we don't actually know how they do things over there. Right? So Boyka figures out that she's being held by the Russian mob, and he goes and tries to make things right in his own way, and winds up beating the shit out of like 6 security guards before they pull guns on him. And then he's like, "That's right, guns," and he stops fighting them. And then the mob boss is like, "Do you guys know who that was?" And the guy was like, "No." And he goes, "Well, maybe I should bring him back in here to kick your ass a second time. That's fucking Boyka." Or what did he? He said something that was badass.
Yeah, it was very along the lines of the John Wick thing, being like, that was Boyka.
And they're Boyka, and he was like, "Well, maybe I should bring him in a second time to teach you who he is." And they're like, "Oh," because I guess Boyka is such a badass that like he escaped from prison, and people were like, "Leave him alone," like that's how badass he is. So he winds up telling the guy who runs the casino, "If I fight for you, you have to absolve her debt, the wife." And the guy's like, "Okay, 3 fights. You fight one guy, you fight the next guy, you fight my champion. After all 3 fights, girl's good to go." He agrees, and then the guy goes, "There's a gym 5 blocks east," which is the most Russian thing in the world. Where do I go to train?
And can we say how ridiculous it is? The 3 fights are gonna be in 1 week.
Yeah, he has to fight 3 fights in 1 week, 1 day recovery between the fights. So impossible. So he goes to the gym to train, and he's like punching a bag, and this fucking giant walks up to him,
This is my fucking bag.
and he's like, "Okay, dude, well, I'll be done in like 5 seconds." And he's like, "You don't understand, that's my bag." And Boyka's like, "All right, whatever." Takes 2 steps, spinning roundhouse, heel kicks him in the jaw, knocks the dude out, and then just leaves. Like, only how many times does Boyka walk into a room and just knock someone out?
A lot of times it's him walking in and be like,
and then spinning roundhouse. Just knock someone out. Spinning roundhouse or just casual elbow. He
Oh my
does
God.
that constantly.
Like, so cool watching him fight in this movie because it's like
Oh.
you don't know where. Like a lot of martial arts movies, especially back in the day, you could kind of predict where the move's going to be coming from.
Yeah, because the guy would be blocking there before the punches.
But he
thrown.
does like a lot of cool fake outs, especially
The
with the
best
kick.
part about Boyka, the movie, is like his combos are real.
Yeah.
Like he'll like punch you twice in the gut and then go for the uppercut, and it looks real. It looks real. It sounds real. You watch the guy's like muscle jiggle.
Yeah.
Like
Like I want to watch like how they made the fight scenes in this
yeah,
movie.
it's probably like really in depth. If they don't do that snap cut, that all fucking Western. Like watch Taken martial arts. It's so bad. Anyway, so he beats the shit out of the guy in the gym. He beats the shit out of the guards. So his first fight is against just some dude who not
Put
a,
up a fight.
again not a bad fighter. Oh, I want to talk about this. So remember how whenever I talk about Jackie Chan films, I talk about their makeup department
Yeah.
because they make bruises look real. This movie had that quality makeup department where like the blood coming out of his fucking nose looked legit. And it's like he got punched once in the eye and it was a little red. Once it was a little purple. Third time it's getting black. Like they had the makeup right.
Do you know what I think this movie was? I feel like he had the script in his back pocket, and the only way they could get it made if it was an Undisputed movie.
I feel like this was him when he signed the contract for the first Undisputed, was like, I'm getting an Undisputed of my own.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. And then years down the line, he was like, okay, it's time for my Undisputed. And then all the money, here's a great martial arts film.
Because one of the things I heard most about stuntmen is they're like, first in your career, just take all the roles because you're gonna make money,
Right.
and then you could have your little catalog being like, look at me.
Break your body now so you get to do what you want later.
It's so cool to be a stuntman, but I'm too out of shape and
That,
fragile.
when I was a kid, it was Knight, Daredevil, special education teacher. Those were my 3 career paths. And I achieved none of them.
I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a firefighter, and a movie guy, like somebody who just made movies.
4. You're too fat to be an actor. Anyway.
First of all, Chris Farley.
Yeah, look how that turned out. Are you older than Chris Farley?
Yeah, I think so.
Isn't that fucking scary?
That is scary. It is weird seeing people from like, well,
Yeah, Kurt Cobain, we're older than him. That one trips me up all the time. Back to Boyka.
Boyka.
Boyka. Sounds like a yogurt.
Don't forget to eat your Boyka, children.
Mom, where's all the Boyka? And then he fucking busts through the fr-
There's like a image of.
Okay, so Boyka. So he fights the first guy. The first guy puts up a real good fight. It's back and forth, and then Boyka does his signature fucking bicycle kick.
Yeah.
Like a legit, real, like 1, 2, 3, like real running forward, jump in the air, kick you.
I remember, like, I didn't do karate a lot when I was a kid, but the most fun moves when you're going against a punching bag and they let you just try stuff like that.
I did Taekwondo when I was a kid.
Dude, I wish I wasn't, like, I remember quitting because I wanted to just stay home and play video games and stuff. I kind of wish I'd stayed in it. My brother's a black belt and everything.
Yeah, but I kicked your brother's ass like 6 or 7 times.
My
At
brother's
least.
like my size but knows how to fight.
Yeah. But then that one time I hit him in the head with a brick, and I was like, "I'm Boyka," and he was like, "Okay." I've never fought Chad's brother because we both know who would win. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I took Taekwondo, and they were like trying to teach us to do that Liberty kick, which is where you kick over your head.
Mm.
And I went to go do it and just lost my balance and cracked my head. And I was
I've
like, done.
I've done that before where you get too much momentum and it just pushes you
And
back.
I remember the guy being like, "You're not very flexible," and I was like, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "You need to be flexible to kick," and I was like, "Fuck." Because I'm not gonna be a fighter. Shit.
I need Muay Thai. Stay tight. Get in.
Can't bend I have such like I'm pretty sure my entire lower back is one fused disc. Back to Boyka. Yeah, so he beats the shit out of the first guy, and then he's on top of him and he's doing the ground and pound. And he's now Boyka has killed people in the ring before doing a ground and pound, but this time he stops And he looks at the guy, and the guy's like, "Yo, you won!"
He's like, I will not shit punch you right
like,
now.
I can't fight back. You beat me. He's all bloody and broken. And he looks at the waitress, and the waitress is like, "Oh my god!" The waitress being the girl, the wife.
Like, that's what happened to my husband.
Basically, she's like, "Oh, look, you're doing it again. What a surprise!" And then it cuts to the let's call him Italian, fucking rubbing his nose and playing with his prayer beads. Like, yes, kill him. And then Boyka doesn't kill him because why would he? Because Boyka's a changed man. And that's the first fight. Then
Good
what?
fight.
Then he goes to the school where the lady's a
That's so
teacher.
creepy.
He goes to the school.
Sitting outside the bars.
Yeah, he goes to the school where where the lady's the teacher, and he walks in, and there's a Russian mob guy at the gate. And he stands up and Boyka just backhands him.
Honestly, their interaction with that might be the best part of the
Yeah,
movie.
he backhands him. The guy is knocked out, sits in the chair. He goes and talks to the lady, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "I'm fighting to save you." And she's like, "You don't own me." And he's like, "Okay." And then that's their interaction. Oh, he goes, "Do you know where I can train?" And she goes, "You can train in the schoolhouse." And he winds up like getting like half naked and punching shit in front of kids, and the kids are like, "Whoa." And then he fights the second fight. Now, what's special about the second fight, Chad?
They have two combatants going
Two
against them.
brothers at the same time versus him. And it's fucking
That was an awesome
rad.
fight. Yeah.
Because the choreography, just like he blocks a high kick, gets punched in the ribs, blocks a low punch, gets kicked in the face. Like, it
Now-
was
Let's talk about the specifics in this. These type of fight scenes in like Marvel movies
kickboxing.
probably take like maybe 3 to 4 weeks.
I would say the Boyka films, the fight scenes probably took a year to film in total, and then everything else was like a week.
Well, that's the thing. When you have like these guys who are like on a lower budget like that, they don't have that much money to film these fight scenes in that amount of time. So they probably did it in like a lot less time.
I'm saying it probably took a year and it probably took 3 years to make this movie, not including editing. And I want to say the majority of the film was the fight choreography because that 2v1 fight, it's like Boyka gets his ass kicked in the first half,
Yeah.
and then he finally lands just one lucky punch on one of the brothers, and that one brother stops for a split second, which allows Boyka to just ruck the other guy and just back him into the corner and beat him against the wall, even though he's getting kicked in the back of the head as he's still throwing punches. Like it's that strategic fighting where it's like wait for your opening, boom, and then
And the best way of what did you call it? Like a pan shot?
they do a lot of crane shots, so it'll be like overhead and then it'll slide.
It goes in the third person.
They
mode a lot.
do fighting game camera where it zooms in and they're standing 2D and it zooms in and then the reference and then it's like it starts like a fighting game every time. Like a Tekken game.
Yeah.
Like the way the camera zooms in, it stabilizes and then fights.
And the best part about it is like when they're facing forward and you have a punch, you're seeing the fist hit. Then after they do the reaction, the pan.
That's when it
pans
cuts to the more exaggerated. Like you see the initial reaction, pause, behind shot. Instead of where modern films, it's pause. No, you don't even react yet. Pause.
Camera from the back.
Now you're in. Yeah.
The best is in those movies when they do a hit, it goes to the other cut and the guy just like does the backflip fall.
It was that one shot where Boyka's in the corner and he gets kicked in the rib and you see like his body, like you see him physically recoil. You watch like his muscles jiggle.
Now, how fast do you think they're going with these fights and like
I would
actual
say
filming?
faster than 5 Element Ninja, but not as fast as Raid. Raid was so over the top choreographed that they were shooting at they were probably filming at regular speed, but then times it too. Boyka is filmed at regular speed, and they only jump to ×2 speed whenever they do the slow mo shit.
Yeah.
But the regular just like body upper, like that's just real time. Because it's a fucking Eastern European film. They're actually hitting each other. I think they actually punch I don't think they ever punch each other in the face, but I think they give like 50% to the body.
Yeah. It's all about like the best martial arts movies you can see is when you see the actors beat. Like that's why I like Jackie Chan's when he does crew, he can control his hit where he'd be
like police.
No,
there's that documentary.
I didn't mean to touch you that. But,
No, I know. It's that documentary where he's talking about fighting in the playground.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, and he's like, he has his crew work it out, and they spend 6 hours figuring it out, and then when you watch it, you're like, oh my goodness. Boyka's kind of like that.
But
So then they bring a bear in, and he has to fight.
imagine that'd be so cool.
They would just be the story of Zangief at that point. So then he beats the shit out of the two brothers, and like, but that one brother does that fucking running front flip drop kick to his lower back.
God, that was
fucks his
brutal, dude.
spine up. Oh, and also in a flashback, we see Boyka had his knee broken.
Was that his knee or somebody else's knee? He did it. I think he did to somebody
We
else.
watched him get his knee broken, then break someone else's.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the significance of that was. I haven't seen the first 2, 3. So
Yeah.
you know,
Maybe we'll watch.
I jumped in at 4, and I'm okay with sticking at 4.
Yeah. The first one is great as Wesley Snipes.
So it's been 2 fights, 2 days of recovery. He's limping. He's covered in cuts and bruises. He's had the shit kicked out of him by 3 different people.
You know what's funny about the championship fight too? I feel like the second fight against the two guys
It was way harder.
way harder.
Way harder. So the champion comes in. We see the champion fight one guy, and the one guy he's fighting is kind of a pussy. Like, so it's like, oh, the champion's so good. He beat up this loser. So him and Boyka are fighting, but Boyka's already hurt. His back hurts, his knee hurts, his fucking fists are all broken and bruised.
Hips fucked up from getting hit.
His like one of his eyes is like almost swollen shut, and he's got like just permanent bloody nose. He fucks this guy up. This guy does like a lot of flip. He does a flip kick, and I'm pretty sure Boyka catches it and flips him right back.
I hope a lot of their thing is this guy goes against a lot of fighters that aren't prepared on the
champion.
showmanship.
Yeah, the champion
of it,
goes
so
there.
he gets the hits in out of like distractions and all that.
He's like the showman. The champion is the showman. He's the gladiator who's doing like the superficial cuts just to make it look good. When Boyka just runs in and decks him in the jaw, and then he's like, "Oh, okay, hold up." So I like the one where he throws the punch and Boyka catches it and tries to do like the flip, and the guy flips with the flip and lands. I was like, that's how you do a reversal. That was pretty cool.
Some of the hits in this movie. Ugh.
There's a few hits where you're like, that was real. Like, there's one where Boyka throws a high kick, and I think the guy was supposed to duck back, but it just catches him on the chin, and you see the stuntman go like, oh, like he really got kicked in the jaw full
That's
force.
why stuntmen make a lot of money.
Yeah, they do. But during the whole fight, the mob boss guy is talking to the police, and he's trying to negotiate the release of one prisoner. Oh, the monster. Who could it be? Could it be the guy from the beginning of the movie?
Then he just sets up Boyka. He's like, I have one here.
He was like, yep, 3 fights. 1 versus my champion and 3 fights. And Boyka was like, no, I meant 3 fights, including your champion. And he goes, no, 3 fights and my champion. Here's my 3rd fighter. Scary prison guy walks in. Scary prison guy is scary. Like really scary. So the monster walks into the arena and they unshackle him and take off all his fucking things, and he chooses to go into the ring.
The only fun I get.
But at the same time, it's like, as the cop, you're like, that's like taking the leash off a lion and being like, go over there.
I would imagine it would be like, if you try to run, we're just going to tase and kill the fuck out of you.
Yeah, but as we've seen in this universe, bullets don't actually kill you. So he gets in the ring. He's all fucked up. He's limping. His knee is hurting him. His back's hurting him. Oh no, before he gets in the ring, he gets a phone call. You have 10 minutes to get to the bus station to make it to the big fight. And he goes, I'm at my biggest fight, or some fucking stupid line like that.
It would have been so cool if he won the match, thank God, on the bus.
And then won the other match. Yeah.
That's what I thought it was building up to. Spoilers, but
No. So he basically decides, fuck my fighting career. I'm going to free this woman and fight this monster. And boy, he tries his best.
he pretty much gets taken out, gets face to the ground. Then he has like that Hulk Hogan moment where he gets pumped up.
All right, so he does the whole like speed versus strength, like he's trying to like work, he's doing like combos and stuff like that, and the monster guy is just like, ugh.
To be fair, he has strong fucking hits though.
Well,
Like
I mean,
I would not gonna get want to get punched by this guy.
If he punched me, I would die. He's punching the monster, and the monster isn't flinching.
I love how you're watching the monster guy punching him. It's like broken rib.
Broken rib.
Like,
Dude, he hits him once in the head, and you're like, concussion. Like, fuck, man. So he's like working the monster into the corner, just like trying to like, he's like kicking the same leg over and over, trying to fuck that leg up, but it ain't working. So he's like, fuck it, I'll try the ribs, and he's working the ribs. And then the monster just kind of is like, nope. He just grabs him and hits him once, and then he's on the ground. He gets back up, gets kicked in the gut, and he's like, oh, uppercut straight on the ground. Then the monster gets on top of him and just starts working his body. And then you're like, oh my God, Boyka's laying on the ground, covered in blood, just like, ugh. And then he sees across, and the mob boss, for some reason, decides he's gonna abduct the girl. So he grabs the girl by the throat.
Well, that was after he beat him.
No, that was what inspired him to fight harder.
I thought it was just him wanting to win.
No, he's watching the girl get dragged away, and he's getting the shit kicked out of him. And then he's like, no, and then he stands up, and he fucking, like, what does he do? He does his, like, cool, like, jumping spin kick.
Yeah.
And hits him in the face, and then he does, like, a couple body shots. And then he does his cool, like, running, like, 1-2 kick, and he knocks the monster out of the arena. The monster dies, I guess.
He's knocked out of the ring and falls about probably the distance and everything, about 6 to 10 feet.
Straight to concrete.
Yeah,
So,
it's
yeah.
not good.
Yeah, it's not good. So he wins that fight, and then he's like, Adrian, or whatever, looking for the girl. And he sees the girl getting taken out of the room, so he decides to chase them, but not before
Oh, God.
2 dudes with baseball bats start fucking caving his skull in.
And if anybody, I think, got hit in the fucking temple with a bat. Like,
The sound effect for the bat, too, it was like
Yeah.
the sound that like a home run makes, that crack.
no, this dude literally gets, like, WWF, like, beat with a bat. Like,
And they're-
it's, like, the most unrealistic thing.
And they're just beating the shit out of him, and then finally he's like, I am a real American.
Just
And he
about grabs a
fucking-
bat and just fucks him.
just that one guy
I think bat hits might be my favorite sound effect. The
clank, clank, that hollow, like, boom,
yeah.
it's such a good sound. So he's cracking him with bats, and he jumps out of the ring, and then some dude shoots him in the leg. So he throws the bat and caves that guy's skull in, and he's limping, and then he gets shot again, right? And then he's like, oh, I'm all fucked up. And then the guy is holding the gun to the girl, and he's like, you really want to die for this bitch or whatever? And he's like, it's not about me dying, it's about her living, or some cliche like that. And then she bites his hand and escapes, and Boyka charges and gets shot twice in the stomach, tackles the guy to the ground, and just puts his hands on his throat. No, he punches him twice in the head just to fucking like disorient him.
Oh, God.
And this is a guy who's never been punched before, I assume.
They did a great job, too, 'cause the eyes started, like, getting
Yeah,
red
like
and stuff.
yeah. And then Boyka's just like just dripping sweat and blood. And what did the subtitles say? Gurgling neck snap. So he choked him so hard that he broke the dude's neck.
If you ever watch this type of movies, always put the subtitles on.
Then the cops come and arrest Boyka for escaping prison, and the girl, I guess, gets to live a happily ever after.
Yeah.
And the movie ends with Boyka becoming the #1 prison fighter again.
And he's happy.
But the movie started with him escaping prison as a prison fighter, and the movie ends with him back in prison being a prison fighter.
Yeah, but now he's like, this is me.
I did something good with my life.
Now, if I kill somebody, they might have been a diddler.
Not in Russian prison.
But they just get killed immediately.
Yeah, they don't get to go to prison. Think about it, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
How it should be.
wait, you're a molester? Let's try him in the ice. No one will ever know.
No sympathy for molesters.
You ever see that video where it's the guy's a Russian, the guy's being like harassed by the Russian mob, so he goes to like Spetsnaz, and he's like, hey, the Russian mob's gonna come to my house to collect money. So the Spetsnaz like sets up at the guy's house, so like they knock on the door, and the guy opens up, and he's like, come on in, and 3 Russian mob guys come in, and then cops just appear from everywhere and tackle and beat like 6 guys come running down the staircase. The first guy off the staircase drop kicks him, and then the other 3 just get on top of the guy and start punching him. That's how Russian police deal with fucking crime. Literally, like, WWE drop.
I guess we know what police have the most fun.
Oh, Russian cops don't give a fuck. They will murder you.
But the movie ends on a high note.
Yeah,
He's in
it
prison going.
Boyka,
Boyka.
Boyka gets the crowd he deserves, which is prisoners, but at least he redeemed himself.
So now he's probably living in prison, pretty well off. Being like, let me keep fighting for you, have these great matches.
So what you're saying is being in prison isn't a bad thing.
Depends if you have favoritism on
Depends
your
if you're Boyka or not and can handle yourself. Boyka was great. Fun to say. It's fun to watch.
I think that you should watch this movie if you don't want to watch a story. Just there's always a fast forward button.
Well, that's all martial arts movies. Ignore, like, you know the plot. Guy trying to make girl love him. Guy fights guys to make girl love him. Girl doesn't love him, but guy realizes fighting guys is what he's good at. There we go.
Of a lot of the modern fighting movies, it's definitely probably the best filmed. in
2015.
choreographed.
I'm telling you, man. Kung Fu died in the 2010s.
Yeah.
Like, it stopped being a thing in the 2010s. And this might have been one of the last great ones. Cue list of all films that have come out that are great Kung Fu movies that Chris hasn't seen yet.
Put in the comments what. Say we're fucking idiots and be like, why haven't you watched this movie?
Dude, did you see the Hitman movie? The movie sucks.
Kung Fu Hustle.
Reddit loves it.
But thanks for watching. Let us know what you guys think of this movie.
Kung Fury, bro.
Kung Fury, don't forget to like and subscribe and smash that bell to be notified.
Can't you see this